In this presentation, we're going to talk about how water works. So water is the most abundant resource on our planet. If you look at the picture of the Earth, you'll see that the majority of Earth is covered in water. There are 326 million trillion gallons, which is enough to give each person 40 billion gallons of the stuff. So water is abundant. An interesting fact about water is that it recycles itself. Water will automatically recycle itself. It'll get purified through evaporation for free, doesn't cost us anything. And then when it goes through condensation, it'll allow it to fall as rain all over the planet. So water is pretty amazing that way. The structure of water is that it is a polar molecule, meaning there's 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom will combine to equal 1 water molecule. The hydrogen has a positive charge and the oxygen has a negative charge. Because of this, water attracts each other. So if you look at this chart, you'll see that a water molecule has 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, and that's why we call it H2O. If you look over to the right, you'll see that the hydrogen has 2 positively charged atoms and 1 negatively charged atom. So it has a positive end and it has a negative end, which makes it polar. Being polar means it has polarity. Its polarity will give it some interesting and unique characteristics. Its polarity allows it to have 4 key properties. 1 being capillary action, 2 being surface tension, 3 being a universal solvent, and 4 having specific heat. Polarity makes it a universal solvent, which means it'll dissolve sugar, salts, alcohol, most acids, and bases. There's 2 key terms to think about when you're talking about something being a universal solvent. The solvent, which is the substance that does the dissolving, and the solution, which is the mixture that forms when one substance dissolves into another. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see that if you take lemons and add it to water, you'll get lemonade. The water is the solvent. It actually works to dissolve the lemons to create the solution known as the lemonade. Polarity also gives water a surface tension. When water molecules tend to stick together, creating a tightly weaved surface, which allows for things like bugs to walk across the surface. Here we see a picture of bugs on the surface of the water. You see leaves, which should sink, but they don't. They stay on top of the surface of the water. And then you see this young woman breaking through the water, but you see that the surface stays together. That's called surface tension. And we have surface tension in water because of its polarity. Polarity gives it capillary action as well. So if you see the picture to the left, you'll see that water actually defies gravity and climbs up the towel until it goes over the yellow part and then it finally falls down into the middle cup. That ability of it being able to go up and climb through the towel and climb above and defy gravity is called capillary action. In layman's terms, water has the force. It moves in ways it shouldn't because of its attraction to each other. So in essence, water sticks together and is attracted to one another, which allows it to travel through substances like our clothes or paper towels and defy gravity, meaning it can pull it up, as opposed to down. Polarity gives it a high specific heat. The amount of heat that's needed to increase the temperature of a certain mass of a substance by 1 degree, that's what specific heat is. Water specifically will hold a lot of heat, and it takes a lot of heat to melt ice or boil water. So it has a very high specific heat. It's because of the specific heat that water helps to keep air temperature cool on Earth. Water can change state. Water, interestingly enough, can be found in all 3 states of matter, relatively common in the Earth. You can find water in its liquid state. You can find water in its solid state. and you can find water in its gas state. The process of water turning from a liquid to gas is called evaporation. And that's when our liquid evaporates and then goes into its gas form and forms clouds in our sky. That's called evaporation. Water can also go from a liquid to a solid, which we call it freezing. So you see in the picture here, water is a liquid, and then it goes through the process of freezing to become solid snow or ice. Water also undergoes melting, and that's when water goes from a solid to a liquid. So in this picture, you see it as a solid, icy snow. It then melts, goes through the process of melting to become a liquid. Water can also do something interesting called condensation. That's when water goes from a gas to a liquid. So here we see the cloud gas. It condenses and becomes liquid. That's the process of rain for us here on Earth. So here are some review questions to help you prepare for your test. What atoms make up a water molecule? The answer is 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. Describe the electric charge on each end of a water molecule. One end is positive and the other is negative. Here you'll see the 2 hydrogen that are at the top of the molecule, they have the positive charge, and the oxygen at the bottom, which carries the negative charge. What causes other molecules to be attracted to one another? It's their polarity. That ability of the molecules to have a positive and negative charge makes it polar, and that acts as a magnetism between the atoms and the molecules. It allows other molecules to stick to it. That's called polarity. Name 4 unusual properties that water exhibits. Now, this is a review. Water has capillary action, which means it defies gravity and sticks together. Water has surface tension, which is what allows the bugs to walk on top. Water is a universal solvent, which means it dissolves things like lemon juice or sugar. And water has a very high specific heat, meaning you need to withdraw a lot of temperature in order for it to freeze, or you have to add a lot of heat in order for it to boil. Why does water have capillary action? Because of its polarity, the molecules are so strongly attracted to one another that they will move through spaces to be together. That's the force we talked about. Why does water have surface tension? Because of its polarity, the water molecules lock tightly together, creating tension on the surface and making it possible for bugs to walk on water. Why is water a universal solvent? Because of its polarity, water molecules attract the molecules of foreign substances, which then allows it to mix together and create a new substance. Why does water have a high specific heat? Because of its polarity. The molecules in water have a strong attraction to one another, and they require a lot of heat to heat the water and change its components. So essentially, because water is polar, having a positive and negative charge, a single water molecule attracts other molecules, creating capillary action, surface tension, making it a universal solvent, and creating a high specific heat. When in doubt, just blame it on the polarity of the atoms. What doesn't dissolve in water? Oil. And do you know why? Because it's nonpolar, meaning it does not have a negative and positive charge. So it's not attracted to the charges of our water. What are the 3 states in which water exists on Earth? Gas, liquid, and solid. What is it called when liquid goes to gas? Evaporation. What is it called when gas